Central Bank of Nigeria to reissue 650 billion naira treasury bills on October 2022. October 22nd, 2025 auction. Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board urges Nigerians to patronize local products to check unemployment. Oil prices sleep on concerns over U.S.-China trade tensions. Asia-Pacific market rise after China holds benchmark lending rate steady. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Musa Abubakar, your guide. Let's bring you up to speed with business development. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, says Nigeria could unlock a new wave of economic growth by simply reallocating a small slice of its budget, about 1% of gross domestic product, from recurrent and administrative expenses to productive sectors like education and infrastructure. Nigeria's spending on education has been on a decline in relation to its GDP since 2012, dropping from 0.55% in 2012 to 0.35% in 2022. In 2023, Nigeria devoted only 4.4% of its total expenditure to education, according to data from the World Bank, a figure far below the UNESCO recommended a 20% benchmark for national education budgets. In 2025, the government allocated 7.08% of the 66.1 trillion naira total budget to education, a decrease from 8.21% in 2024. In its October 2025 fiscal monitor report entitled Spending Smarter, How Efficient and Well Allocated Public Spending Can Boost Economic Growth, the fund argued that emerging market economies such as Nigeria could achieve as much as 6% rise in output from better targeted spending without having to raise total expenditure. According to the fund, Nigeria's problem is not how much it spends, but how it spends. While public expenditure has grown over the years, a large portion still goes into wages, subsidies and administrative costs, areas that do little to drive growth. Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, will on Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025, conduct its treasury bills primary market auction, where a total of 650 billion naira worth of maturing bills will be rolled over. The manufacturing bills being reissued on behalf of the Debt Management Office will be offered across three maturities: 100 billion naira for the 91-day tenure, 100 billion naira the 182-day paper, and 450 billion naira for the 364-day instrument. It is part of the government's regular short-term borrowing program aimed at managing liquidity. Naira slips by 1.37%, faces fresh demand pressure. How much is the Naira exchanging for the currencies? Let's see. The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, has joined the global community to celebrate World Statistics Day, reaffirming its commitment to reducing reliable and timely data for national planning and development. The celebration highlights the critical role of data in shaping evidence-based policies and fostering sustainable growth. It's not just another day on the calendar. It's a day dedicated to the heartbeat of development, data.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for yourselves, please.
NBS headquarters in Abuja is a celebration of truth through numbers, bringing together policymakers, researchers, partners, and citizens who believe that good governance begins with good data. From poverty mapping to economic forecasting, the Bureau is embracing innovation, transforming raw data into real insight.
And quality jobs being at the forefront of many, if not all countries' economic policy decisions and discussions, as well as strategies. Quality data remains central to all these discussions.
Money supply and foreign exchange reserves. Is the policy working? The numbers must provide the answer. This is how we hold the government accountable for managing the economic pains.
Whether it's counting children in schools, tracking jobs created, or measuring inflation, statistics give Nigeria the power to plan, to grow, and to hope. And as the world celebrates World Statistics Day 2025, the call is clear. Count everyone, because everyone counts. Now, in today's data-driven world, statistical analysis plays a crucial role in informing and driving economic development initiatives. By leveraging data and statistical techniques, policymakers and stakeholders can gain valuable insights into the factors that drive economic growth, identifying areas of opportunity, and develop targeted strategies to foster sustainable prosperity. Now, let's take a look at that. Well, to take a look at that, we have Kolawole Kainde. He's a financial expert. You're welcome to Business Express.
Hello, Musa. Thank you for having me. Good day, everyone. Good day, the rest of the world.
And today is World Statistics Day. And happy World Statistics Day to you.
I wish you the same.
And which is our conversation today. Well, to begin it, to start with a big picture, how critical is statistics to Nigeria's development agenda?
Statistics, as you can see, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics is actually an institution, just to let you know the pivotal role statistics play in the lives of Nigerians, because you mentioned the issue to count and to be counted. And statistics gives us the opportunity not just to count and to count, but to predict, to analyze, and also to provide solutions for the numerous challenges that we face as a country.
Now, you know, a lot of people look at statistics as abstract numbers, but in real time, I mean, in real sense, how does this numbers translate into real economic development?
I'm sure you might have heard that numbers don't lie, and say data don't lie, data is stubborn. But this time around, we need to humanize data. We need to productize data to bring it home. There's so many ways in which that could happen, and that's where data analytics come in. So when you talk about how do we bring these numbers down to a sense where people understand, I think the last time I came here, I spoke about something about a budget that was given to a particular ministry, let's say 150 million, to cater for the educational needs of the less privileged ones. So when you want to humanize this, you say 150 million will provide opportunities for 1 million students to have access to quality education, which will better improve their chances of survival in life. That shows that you have made that statistic you've humanized, and you've tried to show what that will do to any economy.
Now, another thing is how much of this data has influenced government decision today. when you look at it from the center and at the subnationals. How much of this do you think has actually influenced government policy decision and implementation?
If you look at the current rates that the current lending rates that the CBN brought out about the last NPR meeting, you saw that there was a dip by maybe 5 basis points. Shows that inflation was easing, and people were saying the prices of goods in the market have dropped. And if you look at all of those things, you know that some of these numbers are actually making impact. By and large, at the federal government level, the MBS has been able to capture quite a whole lot of data that are evidence-based, that are able to help us make meaning of what we have as a country. But we know that in Nigeria, we still have challenges with getting real data that speaks to our needs, but most of this data just address our wants. As of today, we still.
But don't you think it's all about? It's mostly about investing in data. Are we actually doing much to actually put in the right resource to data so that we could possibly get what we want? I mean, when it comes to decision making, you know.
Okay, data is data until it is used for
what I mean
productive
is
means.
How much investment have you know, the various level of government have actually invested in data? How much resources? Because in other climes you see much investment.
In Nigeria, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics has been the sole driver of data collation. You don't see much happening at the subnationals, and that is why you see that there is so much poverty within that area, and it has not been able to be tracked. And of course, you look at the numbers, what's the level of literacy at the subnationals, how many children are out of school today. These are numbers that you need to look at critically and know whether data that has been collected is actually useful. Then looking at how much have we spent on data collection. I might not be able to give you a figure, but I know.
So we are not doing enough.
We are not. We are barely scratching the surface of data collection. So as of today, we still don't have a credible
what do we need at this point? Should we work on our own data, or should we rely on what the World Bank and IMF throw to us?
We've been relying on what the World Bank and IMF throw to us right from when I can remember. But at this point in time, Nigeria has to make an intentional decision to collect our own data. It's important that we do that right now. And I think one of the first things that we need to do is to ensure that we have a credible census as soon as possible. I think that will be the first step in the right direction. Every other thing will fall in place.
We've seen, talking about the use of data, the last year Monetary Policy Committee meeting, the central bank talked about the CBN being committed to data-driven decisions going forward. What can you say about other agencies?
Evidence-based decision-making can be achieved through effective data collection, analysis, and implementation. CBN is at the vanguard of change in terms of data collection, at least from the stakeholders. I want to challenge all ministries, all MDAs, and other agencies to follow suit because they have the budget for that. Now it's a question of priority. What are the heads of those agencies, the permanent secretaries in the ministries are doing to ensure that the data is that they have opportunity to collect data, because that will help improve productivity. There are so many offices you still go to in this civil service today that you don't find a computer on a desk, and there is someone just sitting there hoping that it will conjure figures for anything. So it's one, we need to provide the infrastructure for data collection. We need to provide the right skills and competencies. I think the federal government started quite a couple of things in terms of the 3MTT and some other things for some selected Nigerians, but I think that should be much more elaborate. We should teach data collection even at that level. I feel there's very little that the government is doing in terms of data collection, and I know that there's a whole lot that they need to do.
Okay, now there's this conversation about digital transformation. We've seen AI has actually impacted on so many things. And now, how do you think with the application of AI and other digital transformation tools, how do you think it can actually help data collection and data analysis?
Well, in terms of talking about using artificial intelligence, there's so many softwares that you can use for easy analysis, for data cleaning, for visualization, for insight generation that could lead to better economic planning, effective decision making. But we need to go out and look for those data. Artificial intelligence and technology, the use of drones, the use of surveys, the use of data points can all help in ensuring that we get credible data. Artificial intelligence actually could help us, but we need more than artificial intelligence to drive the data that we need.
So you need natural intelligence, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely, we need natural intelligence, if you agree with me.
Kulawale Kende, it's been a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you so much, and nice having me too.
Now let's move to tax matters. While the ongoing tax reforms aim to broaden tax base and boost revenue, concerns are being raised about the burden they place on women who are into MSMEs. This necessitated a convergence of women entrepreneurs in Abuja to review gender-sensitive fiscal policies that will support growth. Momso Damien Datti reports that submissions reaffirm the importance of inclusive policy implementation and gender-responsive advocacy as a catalyst for economic development.
From food processing to textile and garment production, beverages, spices, snacks, perfumes, and nutritional supplement packaging, women are leading a silent but impactful evolution across Nigeria's small and medium-scale enterprise.
I raise fish and process them into oven-smoked dried fish. I started it out of pain, and I found purpose in it. I just kept doing my best. I just kept improving.
Nigeria is that place that has huge opportunities. So it's just for you to think about what you want to do. And government has really done a lot with BOI to help new businesses.
Today, they represent about 42% of all SMEs in the country, a figure that underscores both their entrepreneurial drive and the untapped potential for economic growth.
Policy reforms about tax, especially. Have a conversation about what your taxes will be and how you will be charged accordingly, So informing them about that, informing them about what sector to get into to make sure they benefit from that, So it's a whole range of information. We just saw the Kaduna State just did this amazing initiative where women can actually go and seek contract. You go in there, 50% is taken off because you're a woman. So these are things that they need to be aware of, and these are things that we need to also push.
The forum is there for bringing together government officials, policymakers, and development partners to reflect a shared commitment to advancing inclusive policy frameworks that actively support and empower women in business.
Most of the issues about reform is not about government making revenue. It is about stimulating economic growth. Even the president has said, he said we want to tax the fruit and not the seed. Government said we're going to be supporting you so you don't pay taxes. In fact, the fiscal reform is not about raising revenue. They are about creating fiscal justice, A balance where citizens and business contribute their fair share, and in return, the government provides infrastructure, stability, and growth opportunities.
We're improving access to affordable and reliable electricity, reducing dependence on costly alternatives, and helping entrepreneurs operate more efficiently. We're expanding access to finance through partnerships with the Bank of Industry and other financial institutions to increase affordable credit.
It is therefore a renewed pledge to make the Nigerian business environment more inclusive, more responsive, and ultimately more prosperous.
And now to stock market. Stock exchange records a weekly gain of 1.26 trillion naira. Lanka Ojo brings us up to speed.
Thank you. The NGX All-Share Index and market capitalization appreciated by 1.35% to close the week at 148,977.64 basis points and 94.561 trillion naira. A total turnover of 2.422 billion shares worth 76.618 billion naira in 126,591 deals were traded last week by investors on the floor of the exchange. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 1.662 billion shares valued at 32.565 billion naira in 56,253 deals, contributing 68.65% and 42.50% to the total equity turnover in volume and value. The ICT industry followed with 184.884 million shares worth 8.662 billion naira in 11,500 deals. The third place was the services industry with a turnover of 154.537 million shares worth 1.066 billion naira in 5,975 deals. Trading in the top three equities, Consolidated Hallmark Holdings, Fidelity Bank and Access Holdings PLC accounted for 618.549 million shares worth 9.220 billion naira in 9,277 deals, contributing 25.54% and 12.03% to the total equity turnover in volume and value. A total of 202,526 units of exchange-traded products valued at 24.917 million naira were traded in 556 deals. For bonds, a total of 448,601 units valued at 381.846 million naira were traded in 46 deals. On summary of price changes, 52 equities appreciated in price during the week, 41 equities depreciated, while 53 equities remained unchanged. And that does it on this segment of the program. Is back to the studio.
Well, thank you, Lanka. Now we join Maria for Global Stocks Update. Maria, it's over to you.
Thank you, Musa. Looking at the global markets, Europe is in positive territory, bouncing back from last week. This comes after a few roller coaster trading days showing that the investors are gaining momentum. Looking at the figures, we have DAX of Germany at 1.28%. We have FTSE of the UK up 0.46%. France's CAC was down 0.01%. Asia markets were in the green on Monday as investors parsed the latest slew of economic data out of China. The Nikkei 225 remains unchanged. We have Shanghai Composite of mainland China at 0.63% higher, or 3,863. We have the Hang Seng Index of Hong Kong at 2.42%, or 25,858. In the U.S., stock futures moved higher on Monday as investors turned their attention toward a slew of big-name earnings reports and inflation data expected in the coming days. The Dow is up by 0.52%. S&P 500 follows at 0.53%. We have the Nasdaq Composite at 0.52% also. Meanwhile, in Africa, markets are mixed. We have South Africa JSE Top 40 down by 0.08%. We have Ghana also down 0.09%. Namibia follows at 0.50%. While in green, we have Kenya at 2.41% and Tunisia follows at 0.13%. That's a snapshot of the global market for this Monday. I am Maria Aduzakari. It's back to Musa.
Thank you, Maria. Well, that's it. Business Express returns tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.